Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis. Time and space, the basic dimensions of reality. Sound and movement, the basic responses of humanity. Metamorphosis on Styles FM. Dr. Iman Blak is your host.
Sipping from this cupful cup of peace, not one shall enter, not one. Your people shall not enter. These are all a land, where wise and a true man stand. Sipping from the cup of peace, you chant down no Babylon. You chant down no Babylon. You chant down no Babylon, chant down no Babylon. Give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise. You give thanks and praise to the whole man of creation. Chant down no Babylon, chant down no Babylon. Give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise to the whole man of creation. big plantation, fussing and fighting among ourselves. Nothing to achieve this way. It's worse than hell, I say. Get up and fight for your rights, my brother. Get up and fight for your rights, my sister. Get up and fight for your rights, my brother.
Tinastilin, greetings, salutations. Always fighting for our rights. Yes, it's a consistent struggle, fighting, that it becomes the nature of the being. Nothing is wrong with fighting. It's all about what you're fighting for and what you're fighting against. Metamorphosis here. Dr. Iman Blak, your host, taking you from this time up until midnight. 3 hours of interrogation, exploration, interrogation to the level of moving beyond fear. Because we understand that the greatest fear in the mind is that of fear. So we try to move beyond fear in our own selves. Metamorphosis, challenging, opening, interrogating, new perspectives, old perceptions, transformation, all occurring from within. Yes, greetings, hail to the ones in the immediate environment, and hail to the ones in the neighboring parishes, and hail to all the ones who are online. People are at 96.1, people can pick us up at 96.7 on the FM band, and of course www.stylesfm.com, where we are streaming live. This is where we open up the information base. Here's where we expand the horizons of our own consciousness. And here's where we try to uplift and elevate and emancipate and ultimately to liberate. Because that is the ultimate movement, liberation. So we're moving towards the liberation. And the liberation is about the freeing up from fears and false ideas and delusions and fantasies. It's the freeing up of the consciousness that the self can be seen clearly and that the powers now within the self can exude throughout the sphere. Yeah, that we can communicate without speaking based upon the level of our own consciousness. So the metamorphosis, looking into the state of affairs of the African people globally, the black people in particular, and the people on this rock called Jamaica. This is the home base. This is the island in the Antilles. This is the island in the sun. This is the island of resistance and ideologies. This is the island of dreamers. This is the island of Marcus Garvey and Paul Bogle and Robert Nesta Marley, liberation fighters. So the tradition has to continue because the state of affairs has not changed much. We have experienced enslavement, chattel slavery. We have experienced emancipation. We have experienced political independence. We are yet to experience liberation. Yeah, liberation means free from things like unemployment, free from shelterlessness. These are aspects of liberation. So the metamorphosis, looking into regions of ourselves, looking into regions that are historical, and holding each person responsible for the development of their own eye, for the opening up of their own eye. It's a responsibility of each individual. So no one is responsible for the eye except the eye. Own effort at knowing itself. So it comes through study, it comes through reading, and it comes through reasoning. And so reasoning is what is lacking now in much of I communication. We don't have much reasoning. We are at a level of quarreling. And we're at a level where we're trying to prove who is right versus who is wrong. And we're at a level where we're trying to score points. We need to drop those aspects of the communication and move towards reasoning. And in reasoning, there's room for disagreement. But the reasoning will progress because we can leave the disagreements and continue along with the reasoning. And return to the disagreements and resolve them. But the idea is to keep the reasoning in motion. So that's why I say Rastaman always reasoning. The issue now is that reasoning must be able to move from the talk to the action. And here's where now we are lacking. And ideology and Christianity and philosophies have held us in a state of inertia, where we talk a lot, but we don't act much. We're very, very descriptive, but we're not verbical. We don't do things. So it's how to move from talk to action. That's how we build and liberate ourselves. It's not just a talking thing. So the reasoning is part of it, but the doing part is critical. So in the doing, you have to get up and read. You have to go out and open the book. And you have to look at the map. And you have to look in the dictionary. And you have to read. You have to reason. And that's how the transformation will come about. Metamorphosis, a small drop in the bucket in hoping to bring that mission to fulfillment.
Jah be praised. The goose and the ghost, let Jah be praised. The Daniel Lamb, let Jah be praised. Let him be praised. Let him be praised. You better let him be praised. He watereth the hills from his chambers, and the earth is satisfied, so satisfied. He maketh the grass to grow for animals. Jah made the herb for man. He made the herb for man. Jah made the herb for man. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like grass, and they shall wither like now scatter, shatter, batter, and flatter. As the smoke is driven away, Jah, drive them away. As the wax melted, let them be melted, Jah Jah. Igsi beer, let Jah be praised. Daniel Lamb, let Jah be praised. The goose and the ghost, let Jah be praised.
Yeah, we always have to give praise to the forces that rule and govern. And we hear about the force of Jah. One want to recognize now that this force does not exist outside and beyond the eye. Yeah, Jah dwells at the center of each and every eye. So when I hear a man say Jah is the eye within, that's exactly what the eye is all about. Yeah, so once we talk about praising Jah, we are giving praises to the higher eye. And the higher eye is just an aspect of the eye that is within. Yes, its ability to move now, that lower I, to a higher state of I-ness, consciousness within. Now, on this rock here, our state of affairs is getting very, very seedy. We see you use that word a long time, but I think that gets seedy. Because our island now is gripped in a non-IMF situation. And we have been locked into this dependence, on foreign assistance for so long that our, what you call, total future is now dependent on this deal with this monetary fiend that defines how you spend your and how you build your economy. Now, people may criticize the IMF, but the people who are going to the IMF and begging have a lot to be responsible for. In other words, the IMF didn't invite people to come there to beg. It is malfunctioning, it is mismanagement, it is a whole lot of wrongdoings that lead countries to end up having to begging at the IMF. In our situation now, all of our things are now frozen. Wages are frozen, everything frozen except prices. So with the movement now of prices and frozen wages, it leads to social dislocation. And this dislocation is so real that society in Jamaica, we are so accustomed to hear people telling us things that we just believe them. That when what them said don't happen, it's like the whole world, the whole island stunned. It's like, can't believe say the man wasn't telling the truth or she never said the truth. It's a kind of illiteracy, Iman thinks that the country really, really suffering from a deep level of illiteracy. And a couple of years ago, one prime minister started to eradicate this illiteracy, seeing it as a foundation to hold him back, the whole black population. And of course, it was given a fight and everything, and within the fight, out went the light, and the people returned to their ignorance. Now it's manifold, worse now it's mixed with technology. So imagine when you mix ignorance and technology. Okay? Think of the type of society that we have. So we have some serious things to work out here as far as the way the money thing is running, the way the police have become a killing force. Yeah, it's a very serious thing in Jamaica. In less than, it's more than one person being killed daily by the police force. And the situation is that the police is really under different type of siege, because the type of man who shoots at the police now is not shooting to miss. And the type of man who's shooting at the policeman is aiming to kill him. So what really is policeman supposed to do? So it becomes who can kill who first. This is 2013 in Jamaica. Civilized Jamaica. Careful how we move, because the forces have been given more authority. And what is so tragic about the release of the police force and the society is that it is a government's way of using the police force now to take money off the roads as part of the collecting agency. That is something the society need to rebel against, because it's not about the citizen who's just ordinarily traveling on the road now. The police should be really searching for the hardened criminals. 80% of the people on the road are not criminals. And so when you deploy so much of the police force on the roads, you're not really targeting the real criminals. So we need to reorganize and think about how we're going to utilize the police force as the economy gets more depressed and people turn to more different ways of what we call hustling. And in the hustling now, you have to engage with the law, and the whole thing becomes problematic. The talk now is about building new prisons. We have not heard the talk about building any hemp factories yet. Need to hear the talk about building factories that will produce employment. These are things that we'll have to deal with as we go through. The whole idea is that we must protect the most vulnerable. And the question always is, who represents the most vulnerable? In my own thinking, when I think of the most vulnerable, it always becomes an issue of party. Because whoever party is out of power becomes the most vulnerable. So it's not about a Jamaican thing, it becomes a party thing. And the country finds it difficult to come together. We know, as the persons who are in a situation of influence, we're trying to inform the population that it is self-knowledge that will break us out of this bond of poverty. It is knowledge about the self And so the metamorphosis emphasizes consciousness of the self. And to know the self, you have to know the history of the self. You have to know your family line, you have to know the country, you have to know the race, you have to know beyond the day you were born to come to the knowledge of who the I really is. So, in our first segment, we're getting into I word, sound and power. And we look right into the power of the I. Yes, we have to remember our story. If we are really going to rise and shine and get up as the mighty people we are, chanted exhortations of Marcus Messiah Garvey. How do we rise up as mighty people? Well, people is really a collective noun, because people really consist of individuals who are grouped up. So a group of individuals, now we call them people. And within the individual, each individual, there is power. Now, how do we see the power? What does the power look like? How do we describe the power that is within each individual? Because there's no doubt about it, you know. Where there is energy, there is power. And we are centers of energy. We are centers of energy. For the black people, we are centers of solar energy, because we store solar energy in our bodies, specifically in the organ of the skin. So there's power within the body. There's no doubt about it. Powers of recovery. Yeah, powers, all sort of powers that to a level we don't even understand. The powers that are within the body. Powers of regeneration, powers of memory. But the I, the conscious part now, the non-physical aspect that some people want to call spirit. How do we what you call now, engage with the power that is within the I? Now I want to say that there are three basic powers that manifest from I. Every I, each and every I, I'm saying they are the three basic forces that the I have access to. Now one is called the imagination. Each individual is blessed with a faculty called the I imagination. It is like a laboratory. It's like a little engine room. It is a room where we create images. Yeah, images are created in the image room. The word imagination now, is really about action of the images. It's a place where you create imagery. It's a lab. It's a place where you experiment with in your creativity, in the imagination. It's a real and powerful force within man. And it is probably this force that separates man now from the rest, from the kingdom of the animals, rather. It is this force, this aspect of man that makes them different from animals. The power of the imagination. It is a creative box. And so, in order to empower the self and to liberate the I, you have to liberate your imagination. Now, the imagination is a very serious place, And in our education system, what the system has done has captured our imagination, particularly when we are young. Because the younger you are, is the more vital and vibrant becomes your imagination. It's the highest level of activity that takes place within the I, the imagination. All the scientists, all the artists, all the creative people must operate within their imagination. Now, there is imagination fancy, which are things that are imaginable but are not necessarily able to be brought into reality. There are imaginable things that are real. So most objects that we see, nearly everything we see in this real world, was first imagined. It is a concept of the mind. So we have to, as black people now, begin to recapture our imagination. But why do you think our imagination clouded? From the time we were children, our imaginations were filled with Humpty Dumptys and the nursery rhymes and Bible stories and impossible things. So our imagination right now as adults is cluttered. It's like a whole pile of rubbish within our imagination. We have to clear it out and begin to use it in a way that the Africans could imagine, for example, a pyramid. Or we could imagine a sphinx. These are creations of the imagination. The imagination is one of the great powers that manifests out of the I. The other two powers that make the imagination work, because look, you can have imagination and you can't manifest nothing. You need two more forces to combine to make the imagination becomes visible, where we move things from the invisible to the invisible. That's the problem with the black people generally, We have a lot of things in our imagination. But to move it out of the imagination into the visible world becomes problematic. So we're going to address the other two forces now that we need to put together to make the imagination real. Metamorphosis, exploring the I and the powers of the imagination. Alright, so we're looking at the three great powers that manifest out of the I. And we're identifying the first, not necessarily in that order now, but just in terms of the reasoning. We're saying it is the imagination. It is that creative laboratory that we have access to, where we can put images and ideas and flip them upside down and inside out and imagine, create what has never been seen before in the visible world. We go into our imagination. And imagination is a very powerful area of our own experience. Because all creations emerge from the imagination, the making of images, the making of pictures. So an important facility now beyond imagination is what we're going to call visualization. Because if you're unable to visualize what you imagine, it's hard for that to move into practical world. In other words, now visualization is the ability to see with the inner eye the thing that you want to see in the practical world. You have to can visualize. So for example, let us say you have an interview tomorrow and you're going to meet somebody who you think you are going to be nervous in front of. You know, you could sit in your home and just dress for the occasion, sit in a chair, put an empty chair in front of you, and just visualize the person who you're speaking to and go through the interview. Visualize it. You see, the next morning when you reach, you would have been highly prepared for that interview because you'd have exercised visualization within the imagination. And so you imagine the thing and you bring it into reality. That is one aspect of the imagination. Now, in order to really bring our feelings and our thoughts out of the imagination, we have to employ two more powers. One power is the power that we're going to call desire. Yes, the power of desire. And along with the power of desire is his partner, the power of the will. Now, if you don't have enough desire to arouse the feeling, because you have to be driven now by a feeling, you know. Feeling is what moves us. It's not necessarily the thoughts. Thoughts are kind of cold and logical. It is a feeling that inspires and motivates. So now we have to have this great force now called desire. We have to arouse desire. We have to feel that we need a thing badly. We have to want it badly. But that's not enough. Because if we arouse the desire, and it is not backed up now by will, all we will have is just feelings. Great strength of feelings, but no action. Because the key to action is the utilization of the will. So what is the will? What is desire? Ancient cultures put a gender to these aspects of the I. They call the desire force feminine. And they say that the will force is masculine. And for anything to really manifest itself, it has to be done in unison. So the will and the desire must work together to transform the images of the imagination into practical reality. Metamorphosis. Word Sound and Power on the Metamorphosis with Dr. Iman Blak. B-L-A-K. There is no lack, no C. So we're looking at the powers of the eye. The power of the imagination. The power of desire. And the power of the will. It is the will that moves mountains, not faith. Yeah, we're talking about the identity of the eye. That the eye has mighty powers manifested through desire, will, and the use of the imagination. But there's another level of identity beyond the powers that are in it. It is the sexual identity. And here now we're going to deal with issues of male, female, masculine, feminine. What is it to be masculine? What does it mean to be feminine? Who defines masculinity? And is there a black masculinity versus a Eurocentric concept of masculinity? Do we sort ourselves out along that line? Male and female identity. Who is a male? Who is a female? One time we could define them by how they dressed and how they behave. Now that is all skewed. The dressing has been crossed and the behavior mixed up. Can't tell the man from the woman. Dressed in the same confusion. Yes, identity crises. So besides struggling at the racial level, there's also a struggle of identity at the sexual level. Because we are now in a society and a world where the gay society is competing and is almost moving into a level of ascendancy over those who are natural. Black people must resolve those issues amongst ourselves. Male and female, do we redefine or do we join the global plantation definition of this unisexual concept? Yeah, who is the male? What is a male? What are the responsibilities that define one as a male? It's getting confusing. Years ago, we could definitely define by the dressing. Now it's confusing. We could define gender by behavior one time ago. Even language. Now we have a lot of females who are trying to emulate what we would consider male behavior. And vice versa, we have a lot of males who are emulating what one could call female behavior. So what is it for us? When does a male recognize masculinity and what is masculinity within the black context? Do we return to the African traditional concepts of leadership? Yeah, protection? What is the concept of a male? Is it about being the head anymore, or is it about being a donor for sperm? Male and female. There was a time ago when you could stay from a distance and look and define what the gender was. Now you have to come very, very close up. And even if you touch, you still may not be right, because we have people and persons who are now what they call transgendered. The culture of black people need to assess itself along the line of gender and identity. So when a youth now shave his eyebrow, and when a youth pierce his ears and his nose, is that masculine behavior or is that feminine behavior? And we have a lot of youths now who are hiding behind aspects of African tradition and claiming that these things are African, but they wouldn't change their names. They would not take on any other aspect of the African culture, but they try to hide behind Africa by saying ears are born in Africa and nose and so on. So they have missed the cultural context. So what is it that defines male and female within black culture today? Or there's no more definition? So once you cross that border now, the family construct becomes, we start disintegrate the notion of family. Because we're no longer able to define roles. Now we have women who don't want no fathers. Them just want the picnic card. Them feel that them alone can grow the picnic. Yeah, we're having these one-sided development taking place. So as black people, man, we have to sit and have some forums and some discussions amongst ourselves. As how do we recapture what it is to be a man? What is it really is to be a male? Does a male really have to show his buttocks out of his while wearing his clothes? That used to be one time a sort of behavior that the female would do because she has been socialized to be sexual. Now she has become educated and refuse to be expressive that kind of way. But we have the boys now who are dressing like girls, and the whole thing kind of mix up. So we need to sit amongst ourselves, people. Yeah, we need to sort out this identity crisis amongst black youths. And that a male must learn how to evolve into a man. And what are the criteria for moving from male to man? What is the sign of responsibility? Is it about getting your first job? Is it that the male must be able to pay his own rent? What is it that makes a male now become a man? It certainly can because you can produce sperm. Being able to produce sperm doesn't really make a male a man. Because a man must be more than just being a male. So the gender issue, because we have a lot of family issues here in Jamaica and in most black families. Women are single and they're growing up male and female children, and the females are behaving like males because they have been put in a dominant role, and the males are now behaving like retreating. They're retreating. Yeah, we're not going to say them behaving like females. They are retreating rather than coming forward and taking their position as natural leaders. Metamorphosis, identity, powers, imagination, will, desire. And say, a tree can send up the roots in a rock, and split the rock, a tree. And the roots of the tree, you can just crush them with your hand, So the power that the roots generate, where did that power come from? Where did the power of those very tiny roots come from that it could split the road, make up of concrete? It's the power of the will. So femininity within Rastafari culture, I think a lot of the women have lost their way there. So, but what is it to be feminine? Does it mean that you're soft? What is femininity? Is it a European construct that we don't really understand itself? What does it mean to be feminine? Does it mean that the man must open the door for you? Is that, I don't know, maybe I will have to bring a sister into, or maybe a daughter can text me and tell me, what does it really mean to be feminine? Is it about being soft? About being subtle? Or is it about being alluring and entrapping? What is this principle called femininity? Because the complement is there. Masculinity. Masculine and feminine, they complement each other. So you see, when we try to make the masculine pair up, and the feminine pair up, it's dysfunctional. Because what is natural in the order of things is for the masculine and feminine to come together. The argument is extended to even the brain. that one hemisphere of the brain is masculine and one hemisphere of the brain is feminine. And so the full power of the being is generated when the masculine and the feminine, the desire and the will, can work as one. So, important. Let us think about it as we go through this notion of masculine and feminine. As a youth, I had a third gender. They told us about neuter. Yes, there's masculine, feminine, and there's neuter gender. Neuter means it. So a stone has a gender. It's neuter. So these are the three genders. And let us not be confused by people who are trying to crisscross them up. Yes, the male is the male, right through nature. Responsibilities and roles. Leadership and protection. Critical. Female, stable. Maintainer of the family and the home. Without which there is no nation. So, identity people. Our females, our males, let us begin to move and look like males and females. Yeah, there's a look. There's a look. There's a look. There's a language. There's a language that should reflect whether you're a female or a male. So we need to get that sort of decorum on the move again. Rastafari woman, are you feminine? Or can a soldier be feminine? That child, tell me. Yes. Can a warrior be feminine? Maybe the woman really is the warrior. You know? Yes, maybe the woman is the warrior. African World Affairs, our story. And in our story, in this expedition of the Metamorphosis, I wanted to speak a little bit about the role of the French in Africa. Yeah, the French people. There's really another set of Europeans. And sometimes when we hear French, we don't think that they are really necessarily white people. We just think that they are French. Here in Jamaica and in this side of the Caribbean, we are in what we call the Anglophone, where we were colonized by the British. The other areas of the Caribbean are of the Antilles that were captured by the French. Some areas are by the Spanish. But the French people, I think, have a different type of experience amongst the black people. And because we have been educated by the British, it sort of leaves a sort of blank in our minds as to what really was happening amongst the French people as it relates to the African people. So unless we're in Guadeloupe or Martinique, we really know what was the experience of the French, or if we were in Haiti. Likewise, in the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, we would know, but because we were controlled by the British, we know English history. But you see the French is a very serious set of people, you know. Yeah, the French. The French they're one of the greater powers that come out of Europe in the very first place. And in that context now, France is considered to be the largest country in Western Europe. It is the second largest economy in Europe. This is France now I'm speaking about. And France really built the second largest colonial empire. Now, this empire that was built by the French included the Caribbean, Africa, Asia, Southeast China, Madagascar, yeah, Northwest and Central Africa, India, the Pacific Islands. So you see them Frenchmen, you know, they have been everywhere, almost as dominant as the British. And in their colonization and exploitation of black people, their record in Africa, we're going to just touch briefly now on Mali, which is in the west of Africa. I'm going to speak a little bit about Haiti, which is closer to our home here in Jamaica. The French, very, very serious kind of white men. And what we need to also know is that the continent now, our continent, the home continent, Alkebulan, in 1883, in 1884 rather, 1885, the Europeans had a meeting in Germany, in Berlin. It's called the Berlin Conference. And at this conference, all of the white nations came to an agreement of how to divide and share up the black continent, which European countries would get which parts of Africa, and who would get what. So the British, the French, the Germans, the Dutch, the Spanish, all of these white people gathered in 1884 and defined where in Africa they would control. So the French got places like Mali, and they got places like the Sudan. Oh, in Mali, the culture of the African people in Mali is what brings to light the experiences of the Dogon people. Because it was the French who were exposed to Dogon culture. Dogon, of course, is D-O-G-O-N. Some people think it's really the Dogons, coming from the Cyrus dog star. And so the French are very familiar with Dogon culture. And what Dogon culture taught the French was that there is a star called Sirius, and that there are planets that go around this star. And from this star, it's possible that Earth had its first visitors. This is African culture now, you know. This is African history. But the French know this. So when we hear of the destruction of the artifacts happening in Mali today, under the guise of Islamic upsurging, it's really an attempt to really wipe away the history of African people. It has imposed upon us the history of Islam, and to wipe away the history of the Dogons and the whole knowledge of the constellation Orion, of the dog star Sirius, of his link to Osiris in ancient Egypt, to the Sphinx, and the connection between all African peoples. So we're looking at our story, but when we look at our story through the lens of the French, we realize that there's a lot of things that we are really unaware of about our own selves. The Sudan that the French control has more pyramids than Egypt. So characters like Napoleon become important in African tradition because Napoleon now led a lot of expeditions And Napoleon actually led the French into Egypt. It is the French who, what you call, deface the images of black people when they recognize that it's black people culture that they went into. Because they had a racist mentality that the European race was a superior race. And in their journey into Africa, seeing these great statues built 35, 40,000 years ago, it baffled them. Napoleon licked off the nose of the Sphinx. Petty envy, big jealousy. This is Africa through the lens of the French. So the Berlin Conference, 1884 to 1885, is what shaped up Africa. It also brought to the awareness now that the French not only were dominant in Africa, but the French also were the ones who tried to control Haiti. And it was the same Napoleon Bonaparte who came into conflict with the great Toussaint Louverture. So Napoleon had this reputation of being this great military commander, this great European military leader. I found that he was defeated by an African from an island in the Antilles called Haiti. And so Haiti up to today now is still suffering from the wrath of Napoleon and the Europeans for how dare those black people defeat the great mighty Napoleon. And so we here in Jamaica today now, when we see what's happening in Haiti, we have a better appreciation of the Haitians if we know our story. Yeah, the story of the African people in the Metamorphosis.
Africa had great kings and queens, you should know. Search your history, it will show. If you know not from whence you came, you are doomed to live in shame.
Great kings of Africa, rulers all around. They were mighty, brave and strong, tore every barriers down. In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, oh, yeah. In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, oh, yeah.
Now let no one fool you. Great was Shaka the Zulu. The British army never did see such a fierce warrior as he.
In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, oh, yeah. In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, oh, yeah.
Afonso of the Congo region adopted this for his people the Christian religion, never bowing to what was paid, unite his people against the slave trade.
In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, oh, yeah. In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, oh, yeah.
Akhenaten, the first man, to tell that the God is one, carved the theology that men could see, that the Almighty was no mystery.
In Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, oh, yeah. In Africa, oh, yes. In Africa, in Africa, yes I eat. In Africa, oh, yeah. In Africa, yes I eat.
Hey, 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 hey. Calling Africans now, come. Hey. Wanna tell you don't walk, run. Got to rule your own kingdom.
Yeah, we're trying to rule our own kingdom.
Yeah.
See Shaka Zulu upon the corner.
Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. Yes, when we are taught about West African history, they teach us of these great three West African kingdoms, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. We are sort of more educated into Ghana because that is where the British controlled. But I want to encourage my listeners to explore Mali. Right now, Mali is under siege. The American government is hesitating whether they should enter to sort of resolve the conflicts. But it's not just about the Islamic upsurging right now. It's about knowing the deeper history of Mali. It's about knowing of African history, our story, through the lens of the Malian kingdoms. And these kingdoms show us our story that goes way beyond Adam and Eve and way beyond even the gardens of Ethiopia. Because in the Dogon culture, we hear of the Syrian society. We have the importance of the dog star, the same Orion that the Europeans now are trying to reach in their space program. The ancient Africans knew about Mali. We knew about the solar system. The Dogons knew about the suns that are around Saturn. So these are not primitives in the sense that these people are coming out of a cave. The drawings are in caves, but these are people with great scientific knowledge. And it's we. It is I and I. That memories and that knowledge still is within us. So West Africa, it's not just about Ghana, because we speak English. We need to explore Mali. And in exploring Mali, we explore the Dogons. And we come upon cultures like the Nomos. N-O-M-M-O-S. We hear about beings that are able to live underwater. Yeah, that can breathe in and out of water. And we begin to expand our consciousness and our history. It's our story. The French know it. And perhaps this is why the French sort of handle black people a different way than the British. Almost as though they have more respect for our history. The British tend to want to insist that we are coming out of some sort of caves and that we were in some kind of jungles and primitive. That is their story, the old Tarzan imagery of black people. The French don't seem to have that. Because just in their experiences in the Sudan and in Mali, they know about the anciency and the knowledge of the black people. If you look at the French national team a couple years ago, they were all black men. 90% of the team was black. So there's a serious overstanding that the people of France have of African people. It's for African people now to know their own selves and to free themselves from the two traditional religions that have enslaved us, which is Islam and Catholicism, Christianity. Napoleon, of course, was an important figure in spreading France around the globe, was a Catholic. Yeah, considered to be one of the greatest military commanders ever in terms of the European history. But in our black history, we have Hannibal. Yes, we have Hannibal, and Hannibal really is considered the greatest military leader ever. It's knowing our story. It's giving respect to those for their story, but it is knowing our story. What is tragic about France is that France not only terrorized Haiti and tricked Toussaint and imprisoned him, they forced Haiti to pay reparations. Can you imagine now? Haiti, Caribbean island in Antilles, paying money to France because France is no longer able to rape the country. So this is why up to today Haiti is broke. They have been sapped by the Europeans, the French. So they say the French language is very romantic. Yes, a lot of says this, but the French people have not been very kind to black people in any different way. Metamorphosis, African World Affairs.
And if you're ready, make it beat. Make it do it for Jah. Rastafari. The roots and culture. And if you're ready, make it do it and make it do it and make it. Every nation have to do 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 it. Make them do it, yeah, make them do it. Make them do it, yeah, make them do it. Do it for Jah. Rastafari. ready, make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. I 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 make we do it. Make we do it for Jah. Make we do it. Jah Rastafari. Make we do it.
There is superstition writings on the wall. There is superstition, letters about to fall. Looking at the bed from the luck and die. Sitting in the bed, good things ain't got gas. You believe in things you don't understand, and you're suffering. Devotion and the way. Yeah. Ooh, baby, superstition. Wash your face with cash. Bring me on the ground. Oh, don't you keep me in a daydream, yeah. Keep me going strong. You don't wanna save me. That is my song. You believe in things you don't understand. Devotion and prayer.
Yeah, yeah. Mythologies, fables, nursery rhymes, things that confuse our imagination. At the outset of the program, spoke about that engine room that we have called the imagination. You know that as a child, it is the most vibrant part of the eye. Very, very alive and takes everything literal. That is the imagination of a child now, you know. Very, very literal. Literal means exactly what the word say is that it means. No sort of interpretation. So if in the child's imagination you say a cow jumps over the moon, the child literally tries to stretch that imagery and try to make that imagery look like something that could happen. Different than you tell the child that the cow jump over the rubbish pan. And the child tries to imagine it. It becomes more realistic. So the imagination is a very, very powerful arena. And you have to be careful what you imagine. Because it's like planting seeds. It's akin to planting seeds. And the imagination and the images in the imagination will grow. So, nursery rhymes and Bible tales cloud up the imagination of the young child. It's particularly the church. The church is very significant in impressing the imagination of the child. So you give the child stories that drive fear in the child. It's all in the imagination. For example, hell. Hell is constructed in the imagination. If you recognize that now, you know. Yes, it's constructed in the imagination. And within that construction now we begin to put offices into it and put meaning towards this thing that we have in our imagination. There's no physical space to locate this thing that we imagine now, you know. There's no physical space to locate it. It's all in the imagination. So we must be able to separate now things that are imagined from things that are practically real. Serious task. A lot of people are trapped in their own imagination. And they imagine a lot of vain things. They can even imagine perfect, what they call perfect plans. But as I said earlier, because of the lacking of the desire and the will, nothing can be manifested. Now, in the mythologies that we are given, a lot of these mythologies influence our behavior. It may even impact our desires and our willpower. Very, very serious, because look at the Christianity. Christianity does not encourage the development of your willpower. It does not. It encourages you to be a follower. So you must submit your will. In Christianity, you submit your will and follow the ideologies of Jesus the Christ. So right automatically, if you submit the will, you have become a slave. Yeah, once you give up the will, you're a slave. So a lot of persons who are locked into Christianity are literal slaves because they no longer have a will. They have surrendered the will to Lord God. The prayers that they recite, our Father who art in heaven, that the Father's will be done. And so the will of the individual, the black man, is so suppressed. He really can't do nothing, you know. Can't do nothing. He have no power. He have no willpower. He may reach a level of desire where he can speak clearly about what he desires and tell you about what he imagines. But you see the will lock off. And once a man cripple your will, you know, you are walking dead. And Christianity sets out to cripple the will of the black man and the black woman. And once you take away the will of any being, then living becomes chattel. Metamorphosis, freeing the will, arousing the desires to manifest what is imagined. Sometimes the preachers are not even sure of what they are convinced about, because it's all about their belief systems. It's about the belief systems. It's not about the knowledge that they have acquired. It's about the belief systems. And once they see contradictions in the belief systems, rather than face the facts, they try to call you mad, and you're a disbeliever, and you're going to go to hell and burn in fire. And so they try to arouse fear in your imagination. Yes, a very important and active space, you know, the imagination. People can light a fire in your imagination. People can tamper with your imagination. It's an important office that should be guarded by your will. Yes, nobody should be able to just put things in your imagination. You should be able to resist and reject things that are not constructive. I want to hear Valerie from up in Springbank. Yes, Valerie passed through Styles FM and Jigs. So I want to hear you specifically. Yeah, so you know what that means. Let's go to see the eye live, and we're seeing more of our listeners live, particularly the calendar gone out, and information gone out from people, and the people have more than a voice now. So excellent movements. Yeah, I want to also heal up the man them up in Norwich Heights and Pastor Gardens without calling any names tonight. We're looking at the mythologies and the fables and the rhymes that influence our imagination and stifle our will, kill out our desire. Yeah, man, this is why we just walk as a people almost aimless, you know. Those three important engines of movement have been captured: our imagination, our desire, and our will. And in trying to understand how the mythologies work and how the type of myths that we get have helped to enslave those aspects of ourselves, it's important that we again reflect upon the King James and his version of reality. I mean, even before we looked at that now, I want to just recommend 3 books that I think my listeners would like to get their hands on. And if you can't get your hands on it, you go online and you read the books online. One is called From Superman to Man. And the author's name is J.A. Rogers, R-O-G-E-R-S. J.A. Rogers is a very great writer of black history. And he should be in our universities, and he's not. The second book is The World's Great Men of Color. We have to know about the greatness of ourselves long before the birth of the Christian Jesus, because the impression that the world is that the world starts when Jesus of Nazareth born. Them even stop the world time and start again from 1. Yeah, before it was coming along quite well, you know. Coming along the thousands of years, thousands and thousands, and all of a sudden now it just reach 0 and it start back at 1. Fantastic thing, eh? Or you can stop time and start back with 1 AD, 2 AD. That the man who you name time after was born before his time. What that mean? They said Jesus died when he was 33 years old, and he died in 29 AD. So he was born 4 BC. Yeah, the man was born 4 years before Christ. Jesus was born 4 years before himself. We have to work that out, because there's a lot of confusion around this imagery. The Osirian myth is an important myth for black people. We know about the Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. We need to know the original mythology, the one that empowers us, the one that gives power to Isis, the one that shows the resurrection powers of Osiris, and the one that teaches about Horus. It's about the family, the mother, the father, and the child. That is the mythology that is all-embracing and all-empowering for black people. The myth of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost disconnect the woman, which means we don't have a family. We have 2 men and a ghost. And that is no concept of a black family. 2 men and a ghost, that is promoting same-sex relationship. That's promoting the gay society. It's not promoting African black culture from the days of the Egyptians and the dynasties that we know. So the third book you wanted to look at now is Stolen Legacy by George James. These are books that you should have very close to you, and put away King James for a while. Because when we read King James, it's the same thing we read over and over and again, over and over. There's no new information in reading and rereading. What we need to do is open our scope for taking in information. So I'm recommending From Superman to Man by J.A. Rogers, and The World's Great Men of Color by the same author, and Stolen Legacy, where we learn that what is called Greek mythology and Greek philosophy is really stolen Egyptian philosophy. Once we get across these gaps, we get closer to the divinity that is the I. Metamorphosis, deconstructing myths and fables and styles of life.
Yes, we're getting stronger, and Babylon I get weaker. Yes, we're stepping up stronger, coming harder, ain't looking back, feeling stronger, ready to launch the attack. Do you remember when we were the cream of the coffee school Bible? At the carbon we got there too. from Africa with an intention to kill our culture. But through the power of the Most High, our mental capacity get wider. Come harder, ain't looking back, feeling stronger. Ready to launch the attack. Do you remember when we were the cream of the crop? They stole our Bible. At the carbon we got, this is the time to live as one. Help your brother man from out.
Heal up your Dakai, and then bridging them in Sasibo, Japan. Hi.
Ain't looking back, feeling stronger. Ready to launch the attack. You remember when we were the cream of the crop? They stole our Bible. At the carbon we got, emancipate your mind from slavery. I know one day Jah will set us free. Some have been brainwashed, got tricked easily. Forget all their friends and their family. Coming harder, ain't looking back, feeling stronger. Ready to launch the attack. Do you remember when we were the cream of the crop? They stole our Bible. At the carbon we got, they took us away from Africa with an intention to kill our culture. But through the power of the Most High, our mental capacity get wider. Emancipate your mind from slavery. I know one day.
Yeah, we got to free the mind from enslavement.
Got tricked easily. Forget all their friends and their.
We have to free ourselves from that book that they call Revelations. The book of fear. Book that has trapped the imagination of so many millions of black people. Revelations talk about fear, all kind of horses flying in, pure destruction, pure panic, death, grief. Whose world is that? Free yourself from that book of confusion. Yeah, there's no end to this world. It's all fear.
Jah will set us free. Some have been brainwashed, got tricked easily. Forget all their friends and their family. Coming harder, ain't looking back, feeling stronger. Ready to launch the attack. You remember when we were the cream of the crop? They stole our Bible.
Yeah, this carbon thing that we have working with now. I want to think that is just 3 books of King James that perplex black people, you know. They're just 3 books in that whole set of writing that we have now. It is the book of Genesis and Exodus, which try to convince us of how this whole world began. And then there's the book of Revelations that try to convince us of how the world is going to end. And also a lot of our people are locked in between these 2 books, Genesis and Revelations. And so the life now is in those pages. Too many of us are living out in those pages of the book. And to free ourselves from those pages, we may have to begin to read the book in reverse. It's like how do you reverse the curse? You have to begin to read the book from the back to the front. Yeah, think about that. We're going to begin to read it from Revelations to the Genesis. And then if you begin to look at that perspective now, all of those cities that you see in the Revelations would have been in existence long before the Genesis. In other words, the Genesis would not be the Genesis of the black people. It would be the creation of some other beings. But we have the capacity to read. And we can reverse stories. The end of the world is a mythology. We just experience a Mayan myth that just came to an end. It's an interpretation rather. The Europeans interpreting the Mayan calendar. There's also the Christian concept of the world coming to an end. So a lot of these religious groups make a lot of money by keeping people in fear of the end of the world. You know, a man make a bag of money in 2010 and make a movie called 2012 and show you how the world is going down. And everybody rushed to the movies. Watch 2012. And cataclysmic activities, and eventually when everything the world mashed up, they were saved. Only the billionaire families were saved in an ark that landed in Africa. Yeah, a story. And when 2012 come and gone, it is the movie makers who are jingling all the way to the bank. Money make $1 billion out of the fear of people thinking that the world will come to an end. So black people, for us, there is no beginning and there is no end. What we want to focus on is now. How do we improve our lives? How do we accumulate and spread out the wealth amongst the people in the present world? Oh, we must put some different things in our imagination. Start imagining owning enterprises on the earth. And stop imagining going into heaven and living into this blissful place of no music and no herb smoking and just quiet. Just quiet. It's not within the culture. We are colorful. We are musical. So in life and in death, we are colorful and we are musical.
Sitting in your church on Sunday, thinking who you're gonna screw Monday, who you're gonna thief, who you're gonna rob. Take it as me till you say you can't fool God too. Every day you ball out, Jaja. Call yourself a dreadlocks rasta. Terrorize the people on your lane, cause I saw you get wicked when you lick the code. By his deeds shall a man be known. Ask you for a piece of bread, you give him stone. By his deeds shall a man be known. Natty up your head and worship Babylon throne. By his deeds shall a man be known. Straighten up your liberty and don't bow down. By his deeds shall a man be known. Mr. Money Man with your big money plan. Tell me where you get your first money from. How you plant your feel, how you make your deal, then come tell your picnic, them feel don't smoke weed. Left your air condition office and gone a bar. Impress a little easy girl with your pretty car. When you're done, she said she have to get paid. What a fret you a go fret when you hear she have. By his deeds shall a man be known. Man, I ask you for a piece of bread, you give him stone. By his deeds shall a man be known. Natty up your head and worship Babylon throne. By his deeds shall a man be known. Straighten up your liberty and don't bow down. By his deeds shall a man be known. What a way you reach far. Every lyrics where you have me say up your one. Oh, you a tell a man feel lick shot when you never get a lick yet we feel it hard. If you a warrior, tell me where you fight for. And if a justice make you put up on a lighter. But if a vanity jewelry and such, remember say me tell you say you soon get. By his deeds shall a man be known.
Yeah, it's all about what you do. Not what you believe in, you know. What you do. Yeah, you see this other issue that I want to, this final issue about this book of Revelations, written by an insane man, exiled on an island, smoking cocaine. This mad character called John the Divine, who was exiled. And we have taken the writings of an insane man, totally insane, and they internalize it as some truth. Yes, an insane man who has been exiled and smoking poppy to relieve himself, isolated, and begin to have delusions and hallucinations. And this man write out his hallucinations, that he sees red horses coming, and then him see a black horse, and he's writing all of his imageries that is in his imagination, people. His imagination. And here we are hanging on to these mad imaginings, these insane imaginings as reality. Just to the extent that out of the how many billions of black people, hear this now, there are over 2 billion black people on this planet, easily. And I'm undercounting. And out of these 2 billion, this book of Revelations trying to tell us that not only out of the black people alone, but out of the 5.5 billion people on the planet, only 144,000 of those persons will be able to enter the kingdom of God. Now we have that amount of persons living today. You know. We're not talking about how many billions have passed and died already. And here we are now. This makes you become psychotic. This is the start of schizophrenia. When you mentally begin to try to fit yourself into these impossible imaginings. So 144,000 souls now will be saved out of the billions and billions of souls that have passed through this planet. And they have us here fighting for these spaces. Not only is it 144,000 spaces, they've divided into 12 groups. So it gets even narrower. So it's 12,000 people from each tribe. Can you imagine that now? 12,000 people out of each tribe shall be saved. You can imagine the state of mind of the people who embrace this ideology and the type of living that they're going through. Very, 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 very distressing. Working on the edge of insanity. And you wonder why the behavior of the people is so in this island. It is the Christianity that is creating the insanity. 144,000 people, 12,000 people to be saved. You gonna get into that? Wake up, black people. Yeah, so what's going on? Afrocentric views on NEWS, on Metamorphosis, Styles FM. What's going on? Some man, some men, some scientists have done something that has not been done before. 7 men spent 520 days locked up in a small simulator to get the experience of traveling to Mars. Now the ones who listen to Metamorphosis should know that I have a very keen interest in the galaxies, what happens in the heavens. And of course there are several heavens, but we're talking about the physical heaven. And in that physical heaven, we have objects that move in space, in revolutions and in orbits. And all these things influence each other. Now, the research of the Earth in this combined form of Europe and America and the Japanese. They have initiated a project to land man on Mars. Currently, they have a little rover driving around, but they're preparing to send human beings. And so in order to do that, they have to have some experiments. So the experiment was run on the Earth, right in Russia, where they got these men, locked them together for 17 months. Isolation, trying to create the image, the impression of not being on the Earth. Now the men emerged on November 4th, and according to the reports, they were happy. A lot of the information is through psychological research, because after 520 days in isolation, it has an impact on the psychology of the men, their behavior, their sleeping patterns. One was changed to a certain serious amount in a very extreme way. I say that to say that research is going on. Interplanetary plans are there. There are no black people involved in this research as far as what we see. We don't hear any input from the Africans. We're just here as consumers for whatever these research projects create. But we'll never become interested in what these men are doing unless we recover our own story and realize that we have a past that is connected to space travel. But it's difficult to say that because we're locked into this creation story in this Garden of Eden. Our imaginations have been captured by the Garden of Eden story. And so most of us find it difficult now to release ourselves from that capture and to see other imageries of our story that takes us into the galaxies and into the cosmos. So this research, very, very serious. I think it's important that we follow it. What is it these men are uncovering as they study human psychology, as they study the limits of the mind? Yeah, we are just here waiting and reacting. We need our own scientists. We need our own researchers. People to also project what they think will happen if life is found on Mars. How does it change the philosophy of God? How does it change the philosophy of creation? How does it change the whole concept of the church? If we recognize through scientific research that other life is present in the solar system, that there are planets that are identical to Earth, and that there's life form even more superior than what we see here. So the Mars project, a very important part of research, I think. Now, leaving that now, I'm coming closer to home, the importance of the inauguration. 4 years ago, I, as one individual, never really thought Obama would have made it into the second round. But Monday coming, it will be a historic event to see Barack Obama make the trot down Pennsylvania Avenue with his wife Michelle and children to take up the office of the President of the United States for another 4 years. The thing about it, though, is that after the excitement, and hopefully everything will be secure, in reality, in another 2 years, Obama will be a lame duck president. He will be on his way out, and so the black people will have to face their own fate. With a new president who will no longer be a black man, what will it do for us? Is it a step further into the plantation, or is it a step where we must become more rebellious and show greater resistance? Black man America is coming from a very, very far and distant struggle. Serious. The Ku Klux Klan is still alive. The Klan is still alive and well in America.
is swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South. The bulging eyes and the twisted mouth. Scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a
Yeah, the black man in America
for the crows
trotting from the plantation to the White House.
for the rain together, for the wind to suck, for the sun to
Clan is still alive.
rise, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter cry.
Yeah, we hear the sound of Billie Holiday. You see, this is just a sort of tribute to the black man's journey in North America. From this plantocracy and the slave life in the cotton farms and the racism up front, brutal. He's black man now and his family with the black woman and her husband will be walking down Pennsylvania Avenue. Yeah, serious moves, still. Serious.
Hold it. Listen. Let me tell you about a place I know. To get in, it don't take much though.
Where you can really do your thing.
Oh yeah, it's got a neon sign outside that says, "Come in and take a look at your mind." You'll be surprised what you might find. Yeah. Gold lights flashing from sun up to sundown. People gather there from all parts of town. Oh yeah, right around the corner. You know it's just across the shack. What I'm talking about, the psychedelic shack. Now get that. That's right. Get on. Psychedelic shack. That's right. Psychedelic shack. That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah. You can hide your fortune told. You can learn the meaning of soul.
There ain't no such a thing as time.
Incense in the air. Peace signs painted everywhere. I guarantee you this place will blow your mind. They got music so high, you can't get over it.
So low you can't get under.
Right around the corner. Oh yeah, just across the track. I'm talking about the psychedelic shack. Yes, sir. That's right, psychedelic shack. That's right, psychedelic.
Yeah, we're still paying tribute to the black man of North America. Yeah, Virgin. Land of the free, white man, and the brave, black people.
Millionaires, kings and queens, go there to do their thing. You might see anybody there, yeah, yeah. Baskin Robbins, tails and meat. Ooh, it don't really matter what you wear. Oh, you can take off your shoes, sit on the floor, join in and be what you wanna be. Don't you know that it's right around the corner? Oh yeah, that's across the tracks.
Yes, spirit of black America. Yes, powerful through music. The mighty, mighty Temptations. Yes, check him out.
Childhood part of my life wasn't very pretty. See, I was born and raised in the slums of the city. It was a one-room shack that slept in other children beside me. We hardly had enough food or room to sleep. It was hard time. Needed something to ease my trouble mind.
Yeah, we're here at Barack Obama, second time around.
Father didn't know the meaning of work. He disrespected mama and treated us like dirt. I left home seeking a job that I never did find. Depressed and downhearted, I took the cloud down. I'm doing fine up here on cloud nine. Listen, one more time. I'm doing fine up here on cloud nine. Folks down there tell me, they say give yourself a chance, son, don't let life pass you by. But the world of reality is a rat race where only the strongest survive. It's a dog-eat-dog world and that ain't no lie. Ain't no lie. It ain't even safe no more to walk the streets at night. Doing fine on cloud nine. Let me tell you about cloud nine. Cloud nine. You can be what you wanna be. Cloud nine. You ain't got no responsibility. And every man is free. Cloud nine. You're a man.
Yeah, so the black man in America now is on the edge of the end of the journey of Obama. Because in the start of his second term, within 2 years, the presidency will become what you call lame duck. And the whole struggle will be about who's going to be the new man in the White House. So where would that leave the black people now and their political aspirations? Now that they've left the plantation and been into the White House and come out. We have to look forward, with a project that we don't get caught with our, everything off. Pants low already. So what is the strategy for 2015? We have to begin to project the same way the man them can send man into isolation for 17 months. To train them, to prepare for future journeys. These men are looking way ahead, 10, 15, 20 years. How far are we looking as a people? How far are you looking as an individual? In the Jamaican society, it's very difficult for the people to see more than 3 years. That is so because of how the political structure works. Each party gets 5 years. But when they go in power, by the third year, they call it election because of the insecurity of being thrown out of office before the first 5 years is over. So in the political thinking, there's no 5-year plan, not even a 10-year plan. The plan is just about 3 years, and you renew it. And before the next 5 years, you usually get voted out. So we have problems in projections. And we have to begin to look ahead of Obama. What will it be post-Obama in about 2015? And then when we come locally now, we ask the same question about our local leadership. What will it be like in the post-Portia Simpson era? Who will be the new leader of this Jamaican society in terms of politics? Can we see the successor to Portia Simpson Miller? Or can we see real leadership in wholeness as the JLP? The news at our home now is even a little bit more serious because the island now is not in a position to bargain with any international agency. We can't bargain with anybody. And so the island is being held in the grips of the IMF. Neither political party is able to do anything. And so the citizens, particularly those who lack wealth, will now carry the burden of repaying what many, many persons have squandered. It's all about in taxation, because this government has decided that the way forward is through taxation. And the taxation is not being levied at the most wealthy. It's taxed at the persons who are at the base. So there's a lot of scrambling going on, and we don't see the economy moving, we see the economy contracting. As a matter of fact, while coming over on the bus today, when the bus was fully loaded and ready to move, the doctor said, well, when the bus was in motion, Doctor ready to collect him fees. Him say, good afternoon, passengers. Please for the fares. And I don't want no single coins. Yeah, that the man says him don't want no single coin in a fee money. No single dollar. How that going to work?
Revolution is change. Upsetting the plans of the congressman. Fighting against discrimination. Finding solutions for your situation. Blacks in America, stop looking over the white man's shoulder. Blacks in Washington, still living on a slave plantation. Blacks in Philly, stop acting silly. You have to organize, revolutionize the presidency in a DC. Now with a Cadillac and a Lincoln, you have nothing to think on. Why not organize? Use your money wise. Help the lives of the young ones. So blacks in a New York, rapping each other after that. Blacks in a Hollywood. No, don't get scared. Trespassing, you're trespassing on the red man land just as much as the white man. Just organize, revolutionize the presidency in a DC. So blacks in a Boston, stand against the Ku Klux Klan. Blacks in a Miami, plan your plan intelligently. Blacks in America, remember your martyr, Marcus Malcolm Martin Luther. Blacks in the South, open your mouth and shout. Blacks in America, find your culture. Your destiny is Africa. Put away your soda. Trespassing, you're trespassing on the red man land just as much as the white man. Just organize, revolutionize the presidency in a DC. So blacks in America,
Yeah, blacks in Jamaica.
your culture.
Same message from Muta Baruka.
Destiny is Africa.
The destiny is in Africa.
Your martyr,
Yeah, man, organize,
organize,
revolutionize
presidency in a
the White House, the Jamaica House.
revolutionize the presidency in a DC. Just organize, revolutionize the presidency in a DC.
Yeah, organization is an important element now of black people life going forward, whether in Jamaica or in Canada or in the United States. Because that is a challenge, you know. And we have been given the plan from Garvey days to His Majesty days to Malcolm days. Organized. But within black culture, organization look like it's the greatest weapon that is being used. Well, put it this way, Marcos said this organization is the greatest weapon. Why can't we organize? Because we lack the consciousness of identity. We don't understand the importance of our identity. Because once we knew that, we would have rallied around the concept of identity. We would have organized around our identity. Our sexual identity, we would have organized around our racial identity, we would have organized around our historical self. So, organization is important in North America and in Canada, North America generally, in the UK. Wherever black people are, the key is the organization. And it begins at the individual level. It begins at the gender level, because it is a female and a male that have organized themselves. We can't look too far, you know. It's not about 100 million people uniting. That's fantasy. That's fantasy in the imagination. The practical side of imagination shows that organization starts from a pair. And it moves from a pair to three. And it goes from a trio to a quad, to a quintet, to act, and it grows numerically. So we have to organize, and the first level of organization is the pair at the gender level, male and female. So you see, if we can break down that thing that the Christian Bible put in between us, enmity placed between the seed and who shall suffer and man must bear the pain and all this type of thing that they tell us, we're going to always be feeling the pain. It really requires a revolution. Because look at Jamaica. There's going to be a cut in the social services to suit the IMF. So there's going to be a cut in education. There's going to be a cut in health. There's going to be a cut in all sorts of services, except perhaps a cut in the security forces. Because the security forces may find that it's going to get more resources to fight against what is going to be called a crime. What is crime now is really partly a response of the people to the oppression of having scarce opportunities and seeing so many people around living in waste, in wealth. So it causes a sort of conflict in the society, and we're not going to solve it simply by, putting more police force on the road. The solution really rests in a revolution, and the revolution must be in agriculture. That agricultural revolution must be connected to industry. And so the Metamorphosis insists that the revolution that Jamaica needs is a revolution in agro-industry. The reality within the imagination is that hemp is the reality. And that if we were ready to focus on building factories, hemp factories, produce oil and butter, paper and rope, we will whip poverty out of Jamaica. Hopefully that is the objective of the leaders. The Metamorphosis promoting the revolution through hemp and the music. Some people think that hemp is a drug. It is not a drug. It is just a family of the cannabis that looks like the ganja. We're going to keep saying it until all forces recognize that you can't condemn a member of a family because they look like one who is wanted. So if marijuana is wanted, hemp is free. Hemp is not a drug. If you smoke hemp, you have to build a hemp spliff big like a light pole if you want to get a buzz. Yeah, it's 0.03 psychoactive properties in it. But it has 25,000 products that can be made that become economically viable. So early times, Rastaman used to say ganja for the healing of the nation. What Iman Blak say is that hemp, industrialized hemp, is for the healing of this nation. Maybe all African nations, maybe all Caribbean nations, maybe the Caribbean government should come together and have a hemp conference and how to transform hemp into an industry for the entire Caribbean. Yeah, man, we can break the poverty. It takes a revolution in the imagination.
We're talking about a revolution. Sounds whisper. Don't you know? We're talking about a revolution. It sounds like a whisper. While they're standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know? Talking about a revolution. Sounds poor people gonna rise up, get their share. Poor people gonna rise up and take what's theirs. Don't you know you better run, 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 run. Oh, I said you better run, 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 run. 'Cause finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about a revolution. 'Cause finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about a revolution. Talking about a revolution, while they're standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know? Talking about a revolution sounds whisper.
able to do. And he's helping England again here. This is a brilliant run. It's one of the World Cup great goals.
Set.
They get away first time. Tyson Gay right alongside Usain Bolt, but here he goes, streaking away already. It's Bolt all the way. He's looking round at Gay. Watch the clock. It's goal for Bolt, and again he's done it again. A new world record for Usain Bolt. They say lightning doesn't strike twice. The world belongs to Bolt. Berlin belongs to Bolt. 9.58.
Yes, sports here on the Metamorphosis, and of course, the man Bolt has just claimed another trophy, this time from the Jamaican fraternity. Him along with Shelly-Ann Price were nominated as the top athlete of the year, sportsman and sportswoman of the year. And of course, Dr. Bolt in his humility would just simply say, it can't get any better. Each time he receives an award is just great. So the appetite remains open, and the enthusiasm remains alive. And of course, Shelly-Ann Price is now a real spokesperson for athletics, and she's planning to do the double at the next Olympics. And we'll continue to excel at athletics. We are a first world power in athletics, no doubt about it. We have been running from the British from the 1600s. Yeah, up and down the hills and running away. Them say, we run go a shop, and we run from beaten, and we are always a run. We are running society. And so because we are organized at the grassroots level, and we have some of the best coaches in the world, our athletics program is outstanding. No, let us not be deceived though, because there is no real infrastructure. It's all will. Most of our expertise and demonstration of our skill is through the power of the will and the imagination and the desire of the Jamaican athletes. There's not been much support in terms of infrastructure, fields and facilities for training. But what the athletes have done is mastered willpower, mastered the desire to train and the imagination to achieve. And they've locked that together with infrastructure, proper training, meets that connect, that can take an athlete from primary school to the Olympics. And he doesn't have to have the same coach. It's all methodology. Of course, Freighter, one of our runners, he was involved in a political contest and his slate won. And because of that, he had to leave the club that he was in the MVP, but he has now joined the racers, I think, and his track career will continue. But I'm glad to see that there is space for an athlete who has an interest in governance. And more persons should get involved in governance because the country lacks proper governance. And leaders who govern should have some experience in being governed and being a leader outside of politics. And it is sports that really provides that arena for training of leaders. Sports. Yes, serious avenue. Because in sports, first you have to be a leader of yourself, and then you become a leader of men. And if you have that experience, then you can take it over into the leader of being a larger society, eventually getting into governance. So that athletes have a lot to contribute to the development of Jamaica. As their careers come to an end and they shift over into politics, they will see the need for what the country really needs. Experience, teach it, give you knowledge. On the terms of cricket, the cricket national team, we're in the T20. T20 now is a new exciting one-day cricket. We're in the semi-finals and we've never won it before. So we'll just wait and see what will happen in the other couple of matches. Again, at the political level, Waver Hines, former Jamaican cricketer, he's now the president of the WIPA. WIPA is West Indies Players Association. And again, it's showing you that a lot of our persons are getting conscious of the link now between, or the transition between sports and politics and governance. And more of our athletes should get into it. Because this is leadership. Leadership is needed in all aspects of life. Yeah, we always need leadership. And I'm saying sports is the greatest avenue for training leaders. And we're going to look into the football in a moment.
fire. Give me reason, take me higher. See the champions, take the field now. Unify us, make us feel proud. In the streets our heads are lifting as we lose our inhibition.
Yeah, World Cup football is on the horizon. All eyes are set on Brazil for 2014. The second half of the journey now to Brazil starts next month, February. For Jamaica, it's a game against Mexico in the Azteca. Azteca is that stadium way up in the clouds. When you go there, you don't have any breath. And so we are concerned that our team will be overrun. And from my perspective, we don't really have a team yet. A set of players who have been running around with each other. And we are on the verge of trying out 8 new players. Now, this is unprecedented. That 8 new players will be trying out for a World Cup team with a match to be played in less than 3 weeks. I won't say anything more about that. Because if the national team is to get into Brazil, I don't really see how we're going to warm up in the first round and get familiar with each other for the second round. Because I think by the second round, it might be solved by the second round. So it's important that we have a good start. We're not expecting necessarily to defeat Mexico. We're expecting to use the Mexican game to prepare ourselves to win the next match. So there's a lot of ifs and buts. Of course, we fired the technical director and the goalkeeper coach, but we kept the national coach. Very, very strange sort of shuffling of the deck. But we understand the politics behind that, and we understand the economics behind that. The Premier League, our national Premier League, which perhaps will not even have one player from it into our national team, which is part of the irony and the tragedy of Jamaican football. We have a national league where the players from the national league are unable to make the national team. Because the national team is really made up of what? Players who are considered to be professionals. Yes, they are professionals. And so that sort of separates them from a local player who is not a professional. But that alone should not be the basis of the separation. It should be about performance. But time doesn't allow the players to really show themselves. So the professional players get the bye, and the local players become spectators. It's very debilitating, and it's very demoralizing to local football. It makes a youth wonder why should he play and train hard in the national team. When we move beyond the national club soccer now, but even before leaving that, the Montego Bay teamers is now the team at the moment, along with Cavaliers. And they're heading into the second round final. The thing about our Premier League is that the teams who make these end of round finals never usually win the competition. They usually expire, burn out after they win these rounds, and they have nothing more to give. And I'm wondering if that is part of the problem. Maybe we should stop these end of round finals and just simply play a straight league, and who wins the league wins the league, and who wins the league gets more money. That may be a little bit more professional. Now, at the schoolboy level, there's a school in Jamaica called Jamaica College. Very, very ancient school, great tradition in athletics and academics. They have a coach named Mr. Henry, Coach Henry. And Coach Henry has just defined himself as fully retired now from schoolboy football. Frustrated with ISA. ISA is a governing body. And ISA is a problem organization because unlike people who criticize Henry for his behavior, I don't agree with his behavior, but I heard him for the first time speak about why he behaves so. And without agreeing with his behavior, the motivation is real. Because in my experiences, ISA is not a very friendly organization. ISA is really run by a set of men who really have no real football experience. A lot of these men who run ISA are really principals who never played sports in their life. And these men are now entrusted with the decision to rule and govern over people who are professional at their game. Eventually to the point where they actually try to tell you sometimes who to play. Some of these principals try to tell the coaches when the team must warm up. They try to tell the coaches who to play. And they try to stay from a distance and manipulate because they think the coaches are not intelligent and that they have the brains because they are educators. It's a serious problem in Jamaican football. It also forced Iman to sort of retire from the JFF and the ISA football because these men just use them power without much discretion. And obviously, they don't respect those who are working in the field. They give you the feeling that it's still a plantation when it comes to sports. And that the men who are governance see themselves as a sort of backrow. And I in the field who's sweating, we are the slaves. So they come in the jacket and ties and they watch the games and they tell you who must take off or who must put on. But they don't come to training and sweat and make rain wet them and mud go up on them foot. It's the nature of our sports. How do we transform that? Anytime we really move our sports from amateur to professional, a lot of what we call arms house will come out of sports. Because the professional deals with results. Not about whether I like you or where you come from or which community or lodge you belong to. That still influences our sports in Jamaica. Unlike in athletics, where if you do 9-5, no matter whether a man like you or not, you have to beat 9-5. In football, you score a hat-trick and a man don't like you. You can't don't like the style. Problems. We must move it to the professional level. Meaning we need professional coaches, first and foremost. And then we need professional administrators. That's the way forward. And on the way out of this segment, I just said to you, our football in Jamaica needs a program that is driven towards the Olympics. We need an Olympic football program that we can get some funding now from the Jamaica Olympic Association, along with the JFF, to get the boys who are over 17 and under 20 to play serious football. Metamorphosis, sports, moving through. Yeah, we're going into the reason on the cannabis family, international herb, and the industrialization of herbs, of the hemp. But I also want to hear now the Splash family out there in New Jersey. Splash. Hey, why I tell you, they are them taking the sound out into, what is it, 12 cities? So we're healing Lushy Band. Hey, we just write them down. We just write them down. Yeah. We heal up the man them who into Splash. Um, Lushi Bantan. Well, the Splash family. You don't know yourself? Search for the name, you know. Boy, I tell you. So, yeah, we're getting into the segment now. We're going to look into the reality. Yeah, it's Lushi Bantan and Dave Genius and Juby and somebody else. Yeah, Rupiti. These are people in New Jersey. This is Barbie. Yeah, this is Splash Radio family. Size FM, Iman Blak saying, "Ill." You know, I'm glad that I am making the connection and sending the vibrations out into the multiverse. Yes. One of the texts said that them like the hemp idea because they recognize that hemp is not a drug. It's really a plant, and there's no legislation that defines it as a drug in Jamaica. So what is preventing us from creating those factories? Why can't we not move hemp from the farm to the factory? Yeah, it's we transforming ourselves, you know, through our own efforts. Knowledge is base. And if we industrialize hemp the way we asked for industrialization after the independence era, because, you know, after World War II, the methodology of development for third world countries was industrialization. At that time, it was recommended that industrialization was done by invitation. So we would invite North American companies, and particularly US, to come to Jamaica to help us in industrialization. So they got involved in the mining and certain other aspects, bauxite, we know about the bauxite and so on. The revolution that is needed now requires the same methodology of industrialization. This time around, we don't have to invite anybody. We can be the leaders of our own industrial revolution. It revolves around agriculture, and agricultural product is hemp. There's too much information out there that the local people, our farmers and our politicians, the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Industry, our country is about partnerships. And so we need a partnership between the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Industry, to bring hemp under industrialization, where we can create socio-economic patterns of development that is visible and consistent, and that the youth can see that within 4 months there's a crop, and that there are 3 crops every year. And it's very, very little bit amount of funds to service these crops. The way forward is through economics. The way forward is not just through trying to cramp violence and crime, because these have sources, these have genesis, and obviously the genesis is in the human condition. And the human condition right now and this place is about poverty, it's about suffering, it's about oppression. Not just in Jamaica, right across the globe. So all African nations, all Caribbean states, Jamaica, should be part of this hemp revolution, where the governments begin to coordinate or to develop hemp industries, hemp factories. We make fiberglass, cellophane paper. There are too many things that can be made from hemp that make us poor. So the revolution is being inspired and called upon by the Metamorphosis, Dr. Iman Blak, suggesting and insisting that there's a way out. And it's not about tourism. It's about agriculture. It's about culture. It's about the agri-culture. Healing up all farmers, all agriculturalists. Yeah, man, all man who's committed to the land, man and woman, you know. They launch a revolution in agriculture through the cannabis family. Yeah. I wanna follow the brother who's wanted. The brother's a wanted man, brother named Marijuana. We want to pursue the cousin named Hemp. The cousin look like the brother, but the cousin is not the brother. Yeah. And the cousin can give us wealth. The brother give money to you, but the brother can carry go to jail and make police terrorize we. The cousin is the key. Unlike Peter Touch said, we can't light up the cousin, you know. But we know the next part.
Lend me a paper, lend me a pipe, make we chase away all them vampires.
Want to big up Mr. Archer. Yeah, Mr. Archer. We get your text and we want to hear Bev. And we went all the way down to Port Maria now. And Venice, we're glad that you tuned in. Yes, Iman Blak said just stay fit and nice. Yeah, we say hemp is for the healing of this nation. I hear Sir Prince Harry come on, come lick some of the chalice thing, you know. Yeah, man, I'll go back and tell him grandmother say, boy, grandma, boy, Jamaica's a nice place. Yeah, so if you walk in the Buckingham Palace with a glass of rum, everything legal. But you see, if ever going to that cliff, her majesty just get up and start dance reggae music. And that should I do.
My father, yeah, said you got to know the sun. And if you try to compare us, you can see that we are one. Yeah, yeah. Light up your flame, light up your chalice. Rasta don't keep malice.
So, Peter Mackenzie, where you say Jamaica will never go forward until there is a Rasta government. What a something that I say. But you know, no matter what the government is, it must have an economic arm. Yeah, we need an economic arm, and we are suggest that the arm is the hemp. Yeah, so the man of their queens. Peter, they're queens. You still live in Brooklyn, you know? Yeah, man. Brooklyn and Queens and Bronx. You up to all the people in the tri-state area. And the people on the West Coast. Of course. Hey, this man get an OM, you know. So we are celebrating man's song here, sir. The man get the order of merit. So there is merit to the chant. Yeah, merit.
Come to set the people free.
And we're not talking about medical marijuana yet, you know. We're now going to the brother. We call the brother problematic. We stay with the cousin. And the cousin have the money. The hemp. Yeah, that's what I celebrate.
96.1.
High Tree.
Well, this one is a bombshell. But a stalker since so I nourish it and cherish it until it's done to perfection. Bill Smith, I take a lift. Oh, I just couldn't resist it. It was a stalker since
I tell you, man, why am I fight this thing so hard? I don't know, but I know, and you know. So many songs. Yeah, man. It was in the Garden of Eden. The tree with the knowledge of good and evil. Yes, Splash FM. Dr. Iman, Blak and Styles FM saying, go on. Yes, this is the meditative side of the herb. The meditative side. But we are emphasize the industrial side because we want money in our pocket and in the bank. So the part of the process now is what we call education, where we begin to educate the population between the difference between the brother and the cousin, especially the police forces. Yeah, man, they need to have courses where we take them out into the field and make them look on the plant and recognize that is a goal. Yeah, education, public education, run to the libraries, JIS. We can revolutionize and transform this country in a matter of months. Yeah, that's serious. China did it in a few years and there's 1 billion of them. So the 3 million are we. So we can do it.
Well, this one is a bombshell.
Styles FM 96.1.
Yeah, Metamorphosis. Rough, tough. And come again.
Styles FM 96.1.
Hey, Jack, go and say, you know.
Yes, Jamaica.
Yeah, we want to break that hungry belly pattern. Yeah, we want to break that pattern. Yeah, we're having a conversation through text with Virgin Peter Mackenzie. Where Peter the Queens? Peter say, the white man have a white God. He said the Chinese have a Chinese God. And the black man have a white God. Why? What a confusion. Yeah, so the Metamorphosis heading into the final 600 seconds. That's how we count down, you know. Every second counts. You know, the thing I want to touch on before we get out here is about Rastafari and leadership. And a lot of weeks have passed now since Sizzla Kolonji has been sort of put into the position of leader of an aspect of the Rastafari movement. Now, I have not personally made any comments because I've been trying to listen to the various voices and opinions and, you know, forces that are for and against our leader. But at this point in time now, I think I can make my own statement out. And I think we have to look at it from a perspective of leadership. As His Majesty said, there is need for leadership in all walks of life. And it is definitely needed in Rastafari tradition. So without getting emotional, we should support the attempt at leadership. And if Kolonji was to internalize the speech of His Majesty and try to live along the line of that speech, then I would have absolutely no problems. But for those also simply crying down the man because of the argument that there can be no leader, there needs leadership. And if Rastafari is going to move as a political force, it must be organized. So organization is crucial. It has to begin at some point. And so support is what I'm going to suggest that we give to this effort by Miguel Collins, aka Sizzla Kolonji. Rastafari must lead.
When you see one, well, you know you see all. Satan stumbling. We give our service to Jamaican call. We can't crumble. People got their life and fly like they think it's sustained by computer chip, y'all. They don't wanna walk a mile, so they keep sailing on sinking ship. But I'm a shining light in this dark world. I am the Rasta man, despised and rejected. Still I'm doing the best I can, oh Lord. A shining light in this dark world. I am the Rasta man, tested and inspected. Some bird must live on. A skillful thought and a willing heart. Break down barriers. Sacrifice today, tomorrow you laugh. It's not about anger. Many people wanna be excused from the natural rules that keep them right. They don't understand the cues, so they make us lose our whisper line. I'm a shining light in this dark world. I am the Rasta man, despised and rejected. Still I'm doing the best I can, oh Lord. A shining light in this dark world. I am the Rasta man.
Yeah, you know, as we get closer to the end of this program, it's not the end of the program, you know, it's just a pause until we reconnect in time and space. Yeah, iPod and iPhone and iDis. The man might wrap up I and I concepts of the I. Boy, Peter, the I depend it, you know. Serious. And would they recognize they call it appropriation. They've appropriated our language and our colors. So it's an iPhone and an iPod. And don't realize it's I and I that construct come out of. See? What I think, I would not make no money out of that. They say, you see, we want to make money, we go have some I him. Yeah, serious thing. Metamorphosis. And before we leave the section, you know, you say the decriminalization now of the brother. We want to decriminalize the brother. The brother should not be a criminal. I was saying marijuana, ganja, the sacrament of the Rastafari should not be a criminal plant. Because there are too many beneficial things that come from medical marijuana. So there's a double focus. The emphasis is on the decriminalization of marijuana and the industrialization of the cousin hemp. We put those two things together and we would heal this nation of social, economic, and political tribalism. These are the words of the Metamorphosis. These are the words of Iman Blak. If we decriminalize ganja and industrialize hemp and free up the cannabis family, then the family of people in Jamaica shall benefit. Yeah, Rastafari presenting an alternative to the IMF. What the man said last week? Oh, the man said Iman Farm. Yes. IMF should be Iman Farm. And what are we farming? Iman Hemp Farm. Yes, live and direct.
I stand strong in the Babylon. 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 I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. His Majesty, Big Marcus Garvey. His Majesty, Big Martin Luther King.
Styles FM.
Styles FM 96.1.
Yeah, Metamorphosis winding down another edition in the January here. You know that next month now, the Roman society civilization tell us the black people that now we are free. They're going to give us 4 weeks next month to glorify ourselves. And at the end of the 4 weeks, they want us to return to the plantation again with what you call the proverbial tail between your legs and bowing down to the system of enslavement, where we slave in these factories, these modern day plantations. Some of them all have air conditioning in it. But it's enslavement. And until we develop our own economic power, where we have monetary strength, where we have control over our water, control over land, and control over our energy. The key to the liberation is energy, food, and land, water. On this Jamaica island, there should be a concerted effort to develop our sources of energy, particularly solar. Yeah, man, the revolution should not just be about agriculture. We need a revolution in energy. Because it is the energy bill that is keeping the people under the whip. Personally, when I get my little salary, the first people I give is the light people. It's a wicked thing to confess. It's them first. Even before I feed my structure, I must feed the power structure called gyps. And then we must always have water. Water is the key to life. So we have to manage our water resources. Island Jamaica should be exporting water to parishes that suffer from drought. I always say Portland to send water to St. Elizabeth. And St. Elizabeth send pure food. Yeah, I will keep the island balanced. But that will be in a time to come. So for now, we hope that the I have found ways now to elevate the consciousness through the desire, to improve strength of will, and through a more active and vibrant imagination. Yes, theme song means Iman Blak has been here, and Iman Blak treading on, and the item is there, and the item treading on. But within the trad, there is points of meeting. And so at Styles FM is the meeting point, where we exercise our imagination, test our strength of thought and intellect, and free up our consciousness. Peace unto the I, them. That's how we pluralize things in Pata. We say them, the I, them. Yeah. I Blak saying More time.